So just to briefly present, today we have Givi Gigitashvili from Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab. Givi will be one of our speakers of WEASA 2023, and today it will be just a teaser of what we're going to have in our Summer Academy in July. Givi, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Eric, and it's my pleasure to meet you today, potential applicants of WEASA 2023 edition. Today, we are going to talk about some of the open source tools for detecting and investigating disinformation. And as Eric already mentioned, this is a teaser, so we are not going to go into details of open source investigation tools that we are going to talk about today. So when you come to Warsaw in summer to attend the academy here in person, we will have longer sessions and discuss all these tools in more details and how to use them. I'm based in Warsaw and I'm a research associate at the DFRLab. DFRLab is one of the programs at Atlantic Council, and we seek to contribute to defining the role of the internet and emerging technologies to defend free societies and democratic institutions. And we have, let's say, four main pillars of our mission. First of all, we try to protect democratic institutions and norms from multiple adversaries who try to undermine them in a digital engagement space. Secondly, we also try to identify, expose, and explain disinformation, but we put particular emphasis on explaining disinformation because the DFRLab is not a fact-checking, initiative. We try to explain how different actors amplify this information, what behavior and techniques and tactics they use to increase the impact of this information, and how this information spreads through information systems. And then we try to also promote objective truth as a foundation of governments for and by people. And lastly, we also try to forge digital resilience at the times when humans are really interconnected than at any point in the history. And this is why we are here today. So we try to transfer all these tools and skills that we use to different actors from academia, media, non-governmental organizations, and so on and so forth. When it comes to our research areas, we focus on three primary research areas. Firstly, we focus on technology and try to demystify the online ecosystem and explain different online harms that we encounter on a daily basis. Second research area is democracy, and we try to focus on some key political events, for instance, elections, referendum, and so on and so forth, in order to let's say, inform people about online harms that are present in information space ahead of these key political events. And also security is the third research area for DFRLab, and it focuses on human rights violations and physical verification of different activities in a conflict zones where you physically can't go, but using open source intelligence tools, you can still verify what's going on in conflict regions. And you can read all our reporting on the DFRLab's website, as well as on the Medium account, and also on Atlantic Council's general website. So before discussing some of the specific tools for analyzing different social media platforms, I would like to briefly touch base and touch upon the topic of open source investigation, what it is, how it is different from other traditional investigations, and what are the main elements of this. So open source investigation is the collection and analysis of some data gathered from open source channels and platforms, and the access to open source information is publicly free and available for everyone, and it means that you basically collect and process information from public sources only, such as social media, public databases, blogs, forums, and so on and so forth. Open source information is legally accessible and does not breach any copyrights. This is very important. And we use open source information to find connections between different social media accounts, determine the ownership of the website when we investigate them, and also verify some of the reportings coming from conflict zones, as well as verify some online anomalies and online harms. But basically, this is the cornerstone of our work, that whatever we write and also information we use in our work should be verifiable by our readers. Probably you have also noticed that over the couple of years, several years, this open source investigation has become an indispensable part of journalism and digital activism. So nowadays, more and more newsrooms are incorporating open source OSINT component into their work. And also this community of open source investigators is growing really fast. And we are in touch with journalists on a daily basis who are asking us to verify something they find in social media or in general in the online. And with our skill sets and with the tools we use, we are trying to help out with these journalists, because they are reporting faster on some of the emerging events, and sometimes they don't really have relevant skills to verify whatever they read online. That's why I think there is it's important and really justified that open source OSINT component is becoming an indispensable part of contemporary journalism, and this field is really expanding. And also I would say that open source community has very kind of low entry barriers. You don't really need to get any kind of degree to become an open source researcher. You can practice your skills by doing some exercises yourself. You can read different sources and websites online where you can get more information about OSINT, and also in general improve your OSINT mindset, I would say. And the Ukraine war and Russia's aggression against Ukraine gave additional impetus to open source community to expand. And nowadays there is really a visible relevance, prevalence of open source work in the light of the conflict. So today I decided to focus on the mainstream media platforms and show some of the tools that we use in our daily work to monitor conversations, to see how particular disinformation content is spread on these platforms, how to identify the source of this disinformation, and also in general investigate all components of, let's say, disinformation. And Twitter is the first, let's say, platform I'm going to talk about, and also show you some of the tools that we use in order to verify some evidence on Twitter, and also monitor conversations there. So one of my favorite tools about Twitter is called TweetWeaver, which has around 18 built-in tools in it, and this is completely free of charge tool, so you can access without any need to pay anything. You just need to log in using your account and extract data from Twitter into CSV format, or also Excel. So the functionality I find most useful from TweetWeaver is the ability to download an account's followers list, which is basically provided along with the information such as location, bio, and any links of the profiles that you investigate. One drawback of TweetWeaver is that it can generate up to 10,000 users and no more. But if you try to download the followers of particular accounts, it will return last 10,000 followers. So this is how Tweetbeaver looks like, and you see all these 18 tools which are built in there, so the thing is that Tweetbeaver is really relevant to investigate information operations on Twitter, because sometimes information operations are undertaken by network of accounts, and you need to find connections between these accounts in order to establish if it's a coordinated action or if it is not a coordinating action, and you are just dealing with something else. So Tweetbeaver is connected to Twitter API, application program interface, and this is I would say, intuitive way of extracting, an easy way of extracting data from Twitter, and then just find connections between different accounts in order to basically figure out what you are dealing with, what is this online harm that you are dealing with. And you can basically, as you can see, find if different accounts interacted with each other, if they follow each other, if they have common friends, or if meaning like people who follow them, and also you can convert basically name into the ID, or to the contrary, ID into the name. So Tweetbeaver is very good tool to see and extract some additional information about Twitter accounts. And when we meet in Warsaw, I will also walk you through this tool to show how some of the tricks that we usually apply when we use Tweetbeaver. Second, my favorite tool about Twitter is Twittonomy, which can be used to monitor specific account activities and quickly spot some signs of suspicious behavior. Because one of the problems about Twitter is that there are many automated accounts which masquerade as real human accounts. But these automated accounts, meaning bots, sometimes generate inorganic traffic to particular hashtags or particular topics, and they create an impression that the topic they try to amplify has a strong grassroots support, which is again just a attempt to create a false impression. And Twittonomy is a good tool to see and verify if account is authentic, meaning like a human controlled, or if account is automated. And some of the key informations about accounts are very helpful for you to figure out if it's an automated or not. So, for instance, how many times the account posts per day, how many, let's say, followers it has, how its profile picture looks like. And we at the DFRLab have developed a framework of bot-like behavior, which consists of 12 elements of this kind, which show or indicate to bot-like behavior. And Twittonomy is a crucial tool to see all this. For instance, you can see tweets per day, user mentions, retweet ratio, which is very important, and also replies. And basically, Twittonomy allows you to examine behavior of Twitter accounts, and then you can use different frameworks for bot-like behavior in order to decide and like write in your report that particular accounts are automated or human controlled. The next tool is called Hoaxy, which shows the distribution of a specific search terms on Twitter, and it's also a good tool to visualize the spread of particular content, and you can see how one hashtag or keyword was launched by accounts and how it was amplified by the broader network. And there are two search modes in this. One is a real live or the real-time live search, so to say, when you can basically trace the spread of particular content in as it takes place, or you can also look at distribution and amplification of the content over the last 7 days, because Hoxie has access to Twitter's data, which basically took place last 7 days during the last 7 days. So I will show you how it looks like. For instance, here you can see different nodes and edges. Nodes are all these dots, and edges are connections between them. Nodes are separate accounts, and edges are connections between them. And for instance, if you can see the biggest bubble and the one central node in this is one Estabili. This is the account which started a particular mentions and campaign about white helmets, and then all these nodes around it show the amplification, and also edges show connection between different communities which amplify white helmets keyword. This is just again a very quick look at this, and we will discuss in more details how to use Hoxie. But there are also more powerful tools for Twitter investigation that I'm going to include in our session for this summer. And the last tool about Twitter is TweetDeck, which is essentially a display of some customizable columns for Twitter. You have a column for your main timeline, notifications, direct message, some scheduled tweets, and also it allows you to control and manage several Twitter accounts at once. I would say that TweetDeck is a completely new experience of managing Twitter and being present on this platform, which is particularly relevant for news rooms, and also when you monitor conversations in Twitter about some particular emerging events. It allows you to have a more convenient ways to interact with the content, and also collect information and conversations from Twitter into one space. So you don't have a single timeline as you have in a normal Twitter. TweetDeck allows you to have several timelines next to each other, like a decks, as it says, yeah. And you can basically add different columns based on search of keywords, based on you can also include just one specific or several accounts to monitor. You can also add a new column about mentions of the keyword or hashtag, or also account. This is how it looks like. So you have different timelines next to each other, and you are able to monitor content distribution, amplification, or accounts of your interest in a more convenient way. It's also free of charge, and I would say that I use TweetDeck more regularly than normal Twitter, and I just encourage you to also try using this, and you will see how different experience it is from normal Twitter. Okay. That was about Twitter, and then now I'm going to talk about Telegram, which is definitely one of the platforms which is gaining popularity especially in Eastern Europe, and especially in the context of Russia-Ukraine war. And Telegram is an encrypted messaging app, which means that tracing and monitoring conversations in Telegram is more difficult than on some mainstream platforms like Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. And that's why I would say the toolkit for Telegram monitoring is smaller than in case of Twitter. But still, there are some not really ideal tools, but still some tools which you can use to monitor conversations in Telegram, and also see connections between different accounts. And this is the main challenge for open source researchers, that encrypted messaging apps are encrypted and not always easy to have a look into some of the harmful and hostile conversations in there, or not just conversations, but also behavior of some hostile actors. One of the tools that we use on a daily basis is the largest catalog of Telegram channels, and it is called TG-Stats. It's a Russian catalog, which consists of around 800,000 Telegram channels. But this is tool mostly for Telegram channels, and if you want to monitor Telegram groups, or if you want to monitor content, then there are some more convenient tools to use than TG-Stats. But TG-Stats shows you information like a number of subscribers per channel, average reach of a post published by channels, daily number of views on posts, as well as number of shares, like how many times other specific channels shared content from the channel of your interest. It can also show you daily posting frequency, meaning how many posts the particular channel is posting and publishing every day. And I would say TG-Stat is really useful to see amplification patterns and connections between channels. So if you want to investigate if specific accounts you are looking into are interrelated and interconnected, then TG-Stat is definitely useful tool to use. And it's again free of charge, but it also has a premium package, which I think costs around $30, but it's a Russian catalog, as I said, and it's not really easy to pay for this service as of today, because of sanctions and because of the fact that Russia is isolated from outside world mostly, and you can't really make bank transfers so easily to get this subscription from Russian company. So I'm using free of charge option of this tool. And also one of the biggest difficulties about Telegram is that it has really limited native search capabilities. You can perform some, let's say, keyword search in Telegram, but the results that you will get are really insufficient sometimes to find what you're searching for. And that's why it's important to know how to use different tweaks in order to search for content in Telegram using some general search engines like Google, Bing, Yandex. And there are specific keywords and formulas that we use to search for Telegram content. And I'm going to also present and like basically demo how we are using these different tweaks in order to leverage search engines and get information from Telegram. So this is again a general slide, and we will discuss in details in summer during WEASA sessions. Also, sometimes when we investigate specific Telegram channels, some of the information which is really hidden from the channel can be obtained through through examining the source code of this channel. So for one of the examples is public description, which sometimes is really hidden, and you need to join the channel to see this, but joining the channel is a bit problematic from the perspective of open source investigation. It has some ethical considerations, especially when you really investigate like harmful content and harmful channels. So alternatively, you can always see in source code some of the information that's can be relevant for your investigation. And we will discuss how to leverage this source code in order to website source code in order to get more information about channels. Also, a related thing is getting the exact time of publishing the content. So sometimes administrators of Telegram channels try to obstruct their location, or also sometimes we try to obstruct our location because we use different operational security measures when we do investigations, and it can also create some problems in terms of getting exact time of publications on posts that you investigate in channels. And again, you can use verified source code in order to see the exact timing. And this is also something I'm going to discuss in details during the session in summer. Now we should move on to the next tool, let's say, tool set about, and then platform, which is Telegram. Oh, sorry, Facebook. So I would say that there are not many tools for Facebook investigation, but luckily there are some tools which are really powerful for monitoring public pages and public accounts and public groups in Facebook. One of these tools is CrowdAngle, which is a public insight tool that helps publishers, journalists, also investigators to analyze and report what's happening in social media. You can track engagements, comments, and shares on the content you're investigating. And CrowdAngle can really also be useful to get some intelligence about the performance of public assets on Facebook. There are two versions of CrowdAngle. On the one hand, you have a dashboard, which unfortunately is not open for everyone. There are certain criteria for organizations. When they want to get access to CrowdAngle, they need to meet this criteria. And CrowdAngle is owned by Meta. So if you work for academia or some non-governmental organizations or media organizations, there are good chances that you will get access to dashboard. But even if you don't have a dashboard, there is a CrowdAngle extension for Chrome, which can be very helpful for you to see engagements and amplification and distribution of particular online content. When you are visiting a website and you want to see engagements on this website in social media, you can use CrowdAngle extension for this. I'm going to also demonstrate how to use CrowdAngle dashboards when we meet. So this is, again, one of the most powerful tool for Facebook. And again, it is owned and managed by Meta itself. But not only Facebook, it also covers Instagram, it also covers Reddit, and it also covers Twitter. This is how it looks like. Probably you can see that it is quite similar to TweetDeck. It also has these different columns, but this is for a live display. Apart from live display, CrowdAngle also has intelligence section to compare performance. It has a search functionality to search particular content in social media. And you can create a list of Facebook pages and also groups of your interest in order to monitor them in real time. What they are posting, how frequently they are posting, and what kind of engagement their posts get. So the next one is Facebook ad library, which is, I would say, really important, especially if you are working on political and social issues and you want to know or see who is paying for Facebook and Instagram advertisements. This is a place where you can search for advertisements across Meta products. So Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and you can find out how much money was spent on particular campaign or particular advertisements, who is paying for specific advertisements if it's about politics and social issues. And there are multiple filters that you can use in Facebook ad library. So you can filter by country, by language, by platform, the media type. and impressions as well, because when people see specific advertisements, it means that these advertisements get some impressions, and then depending on, like, you can filter how many you can filter advertisements by impressions, meaning how many times this particular advertisement was viewed on Meta platforms. And you can also report some of the problematic advertisements to Meta using Facebook Ad Library. And we will also talk about geolocation tools that we use at DFRLab. And I'm also going to discuss some of the case studies from our work when we successfully used different geolocation tools in order to verify some developments in conflict zones. In general, geolocation exercise consists of 2 stages, and there is a one which I would call preparatory stage, and then an actual investigation stage. So there are a number of steps or actions we take on a preparatory stage. We verify authenticity of photo or video footage that we are going to geolocate. We do different actions like reverse image search, metadata search, error level analysis, in order to make sure that something we are going to investigate is authentic at the first place. We also scrutinize source of the particular content we investigate, because it can give some additional details. And so we gather background information about the event. If we talk about some explosions or some crimes in conflict zones, we need to, before starting geolocating it, we need to gather information from social media or traditional media or online media, like what happened, how we can approach this, and so on and so forth. And yeah, these are the steps we take, but I would say more important part of geolocation exercise is the use of different tools. And some of the most widely used tools are now on the slide. First of all, we always try to start with Google Maps, which is really easy to use, and also Google Earth Pro is quite handy for investigating specific events using geolocation. The thing is that Google Earth Pro is basically older than Google Maps, and Google Maps is good for navigation in general, but Google Earth Pro is more for exploring the landscape and terrain. So I'm going to discuss all the differences between them when we meet, and also tell you in what situations and conditions you need to prioritize one tool over another when you do investigations. Also, one of the tools I will discuss in details is SunCalc, which is a website that shows sun movement and sunlight phases during the given day and at a given location and at a given time. It also shows like how sun moves and also variation of its trajectories during the year. And in general, this tool is very important when you investigate photo or video image to see what time of a day you are looking at this particular footage. So this has been quite useful for investigating some developments during Nagorno-Karabakh war, and it's still quite useful for investigating some let's say war crimes during Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And yeah, we will discuss in details like how to use this sun calculation. One more tool that I'm going to present is called Peakvisor, which is relevant when you investigate mountains, and it's a best tool for mountain identification. It has really accurate terrain modeling, and it is possible to get really clear picture about the mountain landscape. So, for instance, if you are investigating an event which took place in the mountains, Google Maps can't be very useful there. Google Earth Pro can be more useful to see, to explore the terrain, but PeakVisor is basically telling you the name of the mountain, where it is locating, what are the other mountains next to it. And it's initially was created for hikers who travel in the mountains, but then open source investigators are also using it quite actively to investigate some events that took place again in the areas which are not really well visible in using Google Maps and other tools. There is also NASA firm's website, which we are using actively, and this is an instrument with sensors that detect heat and different like thermal anomalies, I would say. So the system uses the algorithms to monitor the emission of infrared radiation from fires and some other thermal anomalies, which can be then visualized as on a map as a hotspot. This tool was initially created for monitoring wildfires, but it turned out that it can also monitor some significant explosions. For instance, missile explosions, heavy artillery fighting. And this is how open source researchers use this tool when they do some work about conflict zones. Also, Planet Lab and Sentinel Hub are really good websites to see the latest footage from the particular area that you investigate. And it has really intuitive and user-friendly interface. The main advantage of Planet Lab and Sentinel Hub is that in Google Maps, for instance, when you investigate the particular area, sometimes the most up-to-date information that you have is from, let's say, several months back, like 3-4 months back, because it's not updated on a daily basis. While Planet Lab is updated almost on a daily basis, and it gives you a better, a more accurate perspective of how the particular area looks like right now. And also website forensic will be another component of our sessions in summer, where we will discuss certain methods and also tools for verifying and investigating websites. There are a number of tools that we use for checking the background information about websites. So who registered it, when it was registered, what is the, where is it hosted, who is the owner, and many details. But we are using them as, how to say, in combination. So the reason why I'm going to discuss several tools about website forensic is that none of them is almost ideal, but probably I would say the best one is domain tools, which has really detailed information about websites. And I will just demonstrate how we use this tool to see information about different websites and how it was helpful to uncover some of the hidden information about information operations that involved content amplification on websites. So there are also some tools which you can use to see if specific website has changed ownership or address or any other relevant information and details. And then also you can try to find out if the particular individual registered some websites in the past. For instance, if you have an email address of one specific person, you can see some website registered under this email. And sometimes it's not really easy to see and find out who is behind the particular website. And in order to see more details, you need to also know some of the tools which help you to find relevant information by hosting servers. For instance, as you know, sometimes when one person manages several websites. All these websites are hosted by one server. And if you look at all servers hosted by one, all websites hosted by one server, probably you can see similarities between them. And this is the way how you can find out that one particular individual or entity is managing several websites, and then this entity is using these websites for some inauthentic activities. Yeah. So these are again tools that we will discuss to that will help you to work on website identification, but also relevant tactics, I would say, for investigating websites are looking at Google, let's say Google Analytics and Google AdSense. So Google Analytics is a code which owners of websites get to manage their websites and to see the incoming traffic on their websites and to see what people who visit this website are doing on these websites. And again, in information operations field, we frequently encounter a situation when one group of people or even sometimes one individual is registering multiple websites and tries to amplify content using multiple websites. And sometimes we have the situation when this one person is using one single account to manage multiple websites, and you can check Google Analytics code or ID to see how many websites are managed with this ID. And then this is really important piece of information for you to figure out that if multiple websites you investigate is managed by one person. This is also quite similar with Google AdSense, because Google AdSense code is the code that owners of the websites get in order to place advertisements on the website. So administrator creates an AdSense account, and then after that Google places ads on the sites, and then owners of the websites get some financial profit out of this. So similar to Google Analytics, Google AdSense account is also sometimes used to manage multiple websites. And if you are able to verify Google AdSense code, you probably will be lucky to also see if this AdSense code is used to manage multiple websites, which would show you connections between them. And this is a good piece of evidence for you to see that you're dealing with network of websites which are interconnected and involved in amplifying specific content together. And also, lastly, we have multiple open source intelligence tools for verifying photos and videos, especially from conflict zones. We are using these tools very actively to verify social media content coming about Ukraine and about the ongoing war there. So we will try to learn how to do reverse image search. What are the key differences between different search engines in terms of reverse image search and in terms of content, in terms of results that we can get. We are using Yandex image search for Russia-related content verification, and we are using Google for other regions of the world. And I'm going to discuss what are the main differences between them, how and why Yandex is better over Google, and also why, for instance, sometimes you are not really lucky to get the results that you want from these tools. And also we will discuss if it's safe to use Yandex, for instance. And in general, reverse image search is really easy, and but at the same time, it can be really helpful for your investigations. So this is not something that requires a specific and really complicated skill set for you to use, but just we will see more details how we can use these tools. And I'm going to demonstrate this in summer when we meet. Also, we will discuss metadata analysis of photo or video evidence. Metadata is basically how to say, it's a digital fingerprint of any like a electronic file. It can be not just photo or video, but also PDF file or anything basically that you can have in online in electronic format. And metadata gives you information about the file itself. For instance, if we speak about photo, metadata would give you information about the time when it was taken. It can give you information about the location of the device which was used when the photo was taken. It can also show you image capture information, like for instance, flash activation, and so on and so forth. So many different details that you can get from metadata analysis. But it's also important to know that metadata can be changed. So it's not something 100% accurate, and you can easily make a mistake if you rely on just metadata. So we will discuss how to avoid making these mistakes as well. Yeah, I think this is all about metadata. We will also discuss error level analysis when in other words, this is a technique to investigate some digital modifications of photos and also videos, and how when someone is modifying, meaning when someone is altering the original photo, how you can see these modifications using some tools like InVid and others. I will present some of the case studies from our work, which will give you a good understanding of tools we used, methods we used, and also how it is done in general. And also we will discuss YouTube GeoFind, which is a web application that allows you to search for geographically tagged videos on YouTube. I would say this tool is really useful when you try to find information about some unfolding events, again, in conflict zones. If you are investigating the recent explosion or recent bombing, and you want to get this footage of this really quick, then you can use YouTube GeoFind to see if something relevant for your investigation already came out on YouTube, and you can just look into details of this. This is also one of the tools I'm going to discuss, but depending on how much time we will have in summer for our sessions, I may expand this OSINT toolkit and include more topics as well as more tools. But I think it's all for today, and thank you for your attention, and happy to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you so much, Givi, for this presentation and for your insights on what tools are already out there. It's quite amazing to see how much is available, and I guess this also means that there are a lot of people who are using these tools. So we see that the users of OSINT tools are growing and growing. So maybe I just have one question is for you, is how big is this community, and what do you see the development of the OSINT? Do you see maybe it growing even more? Is it becoming more universal, or is it becoming more difficult to get these kind of tools for average people?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I would say that OSINT community is really big, but it's hard to talk about its current size. What we can talk about is drawing some parallels between, let's say, previous invasion of Russia into Ukraine in 2014, when this OSINT community was really small. And it would take longer to verify some of the evidence and footage from the conflict zone. And now this community is so big and so active that sometimes it takes several minutes for any kind of content that appears in social media from conflict zone to be verified and examined by these people. So it's really promising that the community is so big, and there are more and more people for whom this is really attractive domain. And again, there are no really important barriers to enter and become part of this community. So if you follow some of the community members on Twitter who are explaining in details their investigations and tools they use and methods they use, I think it's really easy. And if you are also have some like a, well, let's say, OSINT mindset, which is also very important, like you are curious, you are interested into the conflicts and you want to find out the truth, then I think this is the starting point to join the community. Regarding tools, I would say that there are more and more tools, but many of them are currently work in progress. And definitely the ongoing war is an additional incentive for OSINT community members to develop new tools. But we are facing some challenges in terms of getting access to the data from social media platforms. For instance, Twitter is one of the platforms which doesn't really let's say, is not really predictable in a way that, for instance, everything and data access really depends on the Twitter, to what extent it is willing to share information with the third-party organizations, and to what extent organizations, the researchers have a bit like, let's say, an opportunity to use its API. So Twitter has recently announced that its API will become really expensive, more than 40,000 a month. And many researchers who are using different tools which are based on Twitter API do not really pay anything. And there was an open letter, I don't remember which organization launched this letter, but the letter basically said that if use of Twitter API will become so expensive, more than 200 tools for Twitter investigation will become inactive. Like simply, we won't be able to use these tools. It also applies to TweetBeaver, Hoaxy, Twitonomy, and all these tools for Twitter analysis. So this is one thing about Twitter. And again, there is a big uncertainty. Like OSINT community is advocating against this, but Twitter already announced the final decision is not made because these tools are still accessible, but if it really becomes 42,000 a month to use Twitter API, then yeah, we are in trouble. And also there are some conversations if Facebook is going to retain CrowdTangle and maintain it. There are some rumors that it may shut down CrowdTangle as well. So it's another challenge. So yeah, in terms of the quantity of these tools, there are many tools right now available, but if platforms will become more closed in terms of sharing access to their APIs and then to their data sets, then these tools just will have, I would say, limited capabilities.
Thanks. Anybody has any question, please feel free to raise your hand or write in the chat. Doesn't look like we have any other questions at the moment. So, Tatevik, maybe we've already passed our time limit as we were planning for today. Maybe we just say thank you to Givi and to all of you out there who have been with us.
Yes, I join Adam, and thank you the ones who are present, and to Givi for this intense intense teaser. And yeah, and we will meet with Givi in summer, and let's see if the ones who watch us will apply and will be selected.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, and all the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.